there, New York. Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here. Wanted to give a bit of a life update since I'm sure you're wondering where I've been the past couple of weeks.
Do you believe in the Phantom Thieves or not? I'd really like to help out in the Phantom Thieves' acts of justice. I'll live up to your expectations. I promise.
Mishima supremacy, everybody. It's as simple as that. But regardless, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another very interesting Marvel's Avengers related video. So recently, there has been quite a lot of hype surrounding Spider-Man as of late, obviously pertaining to the brand new trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. And even though that massive Spider-Man movie is only less than 1 month away at this point, which is very exciting in its own right, we also know that Spider-Man's hero event and inclusion within Marvel's Avengers is only less than 2 weeks away as it currently stands. And of course, we are expecting to receive our first main look at Spider-Man's gameplay on November 29th in a war table the day before his main release on November 30th. But while we're all waiting to actually see exactly how Spider-Man is going to play within Marvel's Avengers, we did actually receive some very intriguing insights as to how exactly Spider-Man's character might be portrayed from none other than Spidey's main voice actor himself, who I did previously speculate on other videos on the channel and was officially confirmed on the Marvel's Avengers Twitter page to be Sean Chiplock, who again has voiced several characters within tons of anime and video games. The main ones that do stand out to me personally is Mishima from Persona 5, D-Luke from Genshin Impact, and actually Noob Saibot from Mortal Kombat. But what I find the most interesting about all this is that shortly after this official post was made stating that Sean is going to be playing Spider-Man within Marvel's Avengers, he did essentially go on to have an entire interview with himself, pretty much analyzing exactly how he personally approached playing Spider-Man in a completely new and unique way, which does make it feel specifically tailored to Sean as an actor. So not only do I think that this entire thread that Sean posted does give us a great inside look as to how exactly Sean is going to make this version of Spider-Man entirely his own, but I also love how self-aware Sean is as to the multitude of concerns and criticisms that certain fans have pointed out about some of the voice acting segments that we've already heard in the previous trailers. And while I'm sure each and every one of you do have your own specific preference as to who exactly you prefer within the role of Spider-Man directly, whether or not that relates to a live-action role or the role of a voice actor, I'm still personally willing to give Sean a chance as Spider-Man, especially since I do think he is a very talented voice actor in some of the other previous roles I did mention, and I'm very curious to see exactly how Spider-Man's narrative is going to fully play out, especially with Sean leading the role as Peter Parker. And as Sean begins to fully break down this role in its entirety, he does state, "I know I've screamed my lungs out, monologued for minutes straight, and done all sorts of extremes that this role didn't require from me. But I have to be honest when I say that this was one of the hardest jobs I've ever had overall." You don't have to look far to see some of the comparisons already being drawn to previous iterations, both movies and games alike. Actors who have defined the role for themselves, left lasting impressions, and won so many hearts over. Of course I knew that coming in. How could I not? Naturally, the question arose at least a few times in my mind. Sure, I was picked, but am I actually good enough? Do I belong here? Do I know what I'm doing? I think the first step in making bolder choices was in realizing the insecurity I had meshed with Peter Parker's own. And just like how I mainly highlighted in some of my previous Marvel's Avengers videos, is that Sean does go on to describe you wouldn't be wrong if you theorize that I took some inspiration from a certain famous MCU actor. They're one of my and my wife's all-time favorites too, but I couldn't just try to replicate that one-to-one even if I liked the youthful tone. I'm not them. I had to bring my own self. So I tried to take the fear, the doubt, the nervousness that I had and use it to find a common connection with a literal superhero. Here's this kid thrust into situations and dangers far beyond what someone his age should be put up against, next to people much older and wiser. Spider-Man uses comedy to mask his fears. So do I. Peter worries about if the demands and responsibilities of his life will force him to always be someone more than what he wants. So do I, at times. So why not use these real, human feelings to explore his character truthfully? This gig was a really important lesson in finding the right times to put on the quote-unquote hero voice, and the times to let that facade fall and just be a normal, human person. It challenged me to play with pace and nuance in ways not often explored through anime and JRPGs. It was hard. Learning to be more authentic has always been a tougher concept for me in my career, and I don't expect my results here to have been perfect. But the more I convinced myself that I was capable, the more fun I was able to have being a part of this world. I hope that fun pays off. With all that said, I don't mind if some aspects of my performance end up sounding awkward. You know what? Peter's an awkward kid, stuck in a world and a role that demands collected and consistent perfection lest others suffer for it otherwise. I can identify with that. And as a nice way to wrap up this very heartfelt thread from Sean, we do actually have a seal of approval from the main man himself of Peter Parker from Insomniac's Spider-Man franchise of none other than Yuri Lowenthal, stating, "Congrats Sean, welcome to the Spider family." And as Sean humbly replies, "A genuine honor to be welcomed by one of the men himself. My wife was a huge fan of your work on the PS4 games." So yeah, everybody, even though Marvel's Avengers is still a very extremely disproportionate game as a whole, I am very curious to learn more about how exactly the narrative is going to be handled for Spider-Man, given the fact that he is included in a hero event instead of a longer and more thorough hero operation or even a hero expansion like what we've previously seen with Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, and recently with Black Panther. I do think Crystal Dynamics did a fairly decent job with revitalizing T'Challa in a way that did feel unique to their own interpretation of the character, but I still think that you can obviously tell that there were a lot of MCU inspirations for the entirety of the main Avengers cast as a whole. And seeing how Sean directly stated the comparison between himself playing Spider-Man and Tom Holland playing Spider-Man, I definitely think that same exact viewpoint reigns true here. And while I'm sure a lot of you do care a lot more about how exactly Spider-Man's gameplay is going to work instead of how his voice actor is going to perform, I still think this does give us a very interesting glimpse as to what exactly we can expect from Sean's performance as Spider-Man within Marvel's Avengers as a whole. And with all that said, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What did you think of this massive breakdown from Sean Chiplock going over exactly how he's going to be performing as Spider-Man within Marvel's Avengers, and which element of his performance are you looking forward to the most? Thank you all so much for watching, everybody. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy, and for more Marvel's Avengers and Spider-Man videos like this in the future. And without further ado, peace out.